Is it on? Okay.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Alhamdulillah ala ni'matil Islam. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being Muslim, for being a person who submits himself or herself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah alladhi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya lawla an hadana Allah. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who guided us to this way of life, Al-Islam. And we were not to be guided if it were not for His guidance. فالحمدلله ثم الحمدلله. We are towards the end of the month of Dhul Qa'dah, and we are anticipating very soon the month of Dhul Hijjah to start. Therefore, these days, my dear brothers and sisters, are days to remember the greatest, one of the greatest pillars of Islam, Al-Hajj. And we would like to contemplate this beautiful system of Al-Islam, where the person, the Muslim, is in such a beautiful system of transformation from one thing to the other, a beautiful system that cannot be created except by the Creator Himself, the one who knows the human being, the one who knows what this human being needs more than anything else. So this human being who is created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah knows what works for this human being to make him the best of the creation, to make him the honored person, the honored creature. وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. This Bani Adam who is being honored, how he's going to be the best if he or she does not adhere to this system. So this system briefly, and then we will talk about Hajj insha'Allah ta'ala, starts from things that we do on a regular basis. If you can, almost non-stop. To be in dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time. That's why there is nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned and said, do it a lot more than dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To be in remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. So that is something we do often. And we can do it all the time, daily. But there is such a ibadah that we do 5 times a day. Or more than 5 times a day if we do nawafil and sunan. That is salah. What a beautiful system is this. This abd, this nafs needs cleansing. This nafs needs tarbiyah, needs upbringing and modification and training and transformation and cleansing all the time. So therefore we need that kind of medication that is going on all the time by the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by living tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there is this medication that is needed 5 times a day, or maybe more than 5 times a day, by getting engaged in nawafil and sunan. But then we need a dose that is needed once a week, like we are attending Jummah. Look to that beautiful system. So once a week we get together and we have a collective ibadah that is more than what you and I do individually. So we need that communal activity, that communal ibadah that brings us together as a community, as a small community, part of that ummah. And then once a year we need this ibadah that actually needed to use some of that potential in us to get us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to do further cleansing. That is Sawm, which is done an entire month once a year. And then Zakah, which need to be done with also once a year at least, if we don't consider the other sadaqat. Therefore, it is also another type of cleansing. But there is this cleansing, which is very intense. And it's not only for once, it's not only for a day, it's actually for days. And it takes so much of this person that he or she has to move. You have to embark in a journey. And that journey is not just a physical journey. Before it is a physical journey, it's a journey of the heart. Before it is a physical journey, it is a journey of the heart. This heart that is yearning to go to that place which you and I are facing 5 times a day. And you would like to go and see it. Physically see it. Be able to touch it. Be able to witness the history behind that symbol of Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Hajj is this pillar that the believers should take seriously, plan for it. At least have that love when I can, I will go. Don't delay it. As some people may think, I have time, I can do it later. No, do it as soon as you are able to do so. When you are young, you will feel the flavor, the sweetness, the ability to go through it when you are still strong, able. So this yearning towards performing such a pillar should be burning in the hearts of every believer, man or woman, who is able, physically able, financially able, and otherwise. So what are some of the benefits of this? Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it such an important pillar of Islam that it is required of everyone who has the ability? My dear brothers and sisters, when we look around us, we find the enemies of Islam are everywhere, and they were there all the time. When the Crusades did not stop. They took different shapes, but they did not stop. I told you last Jummah, after this trip to Al-Andalus, and you could see things about the consequences and what the Crusades have done to the civilization of Islam, to the civilization of the Muslims. What this has to do with Hajj? Yes, this has to do with Hajj. A great deal. Because those who are observing what Islam is and what the Muslims are doing, and yet they have their own plans to continue doing these crusades against Islam and the Muslims, they see Hajj as an obstacle. They see Hajj as an obstacle. And listen to what one of them said a long time ago. One of them said, سيظل الإسلام صخرة عاتية تتحطم عليها سفن التبشير المسيحي ما دام للإسلام هذه الدعائم. This person who was in a position of guidance and power to his people, to the people who were going everywhere and doing missionary work. He said this statement. He said, as long as the Muslims have these three pillars and they continue doing them, our work of missionary is always going to be destroyed and will not bring fruit. What are these three pillars? He said, Al-Quran. Number one is Al-Quran. Is there any ummah that cherishes its book like the way Muslims cherish the Quran? There is no ummah on earth or in the history that really takes care of their book, memorize the book, study the book, analyze the book, try their best to practice the book more than the Muslims do to the Quran. There is none. And there will be none. So they know that. And this is a sign for us that we have to keep sticking to the Quran, memorizing the Quran, taking care of the Quran. The book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the last message to humanity. Number two, what is number two pillar or number two obstacle that is in the way of these people who are waging wars and crusades against us? He said, Ijtima'ul Jummah. This gathering of Jummah. Everywhere, Muslims make sure that they will go to Jummah. Muslims struggle, and we know there are many people who are having a hard time coming to Jummah because of their work, because of their school. But people always do find ways how to come to Salatul Jummah. Yet, we know we are not doing it the right way. We know we are not doing it the right way. Jummah is supposed to gather us, not to gather our bodies, but to gather our hearts. Are our hearts gathered over here? I am not sure. Our bodies are gathered, but are our hearts gathered? I am not sure. I am not sure, because as soon as we finish, we just leave, and no one knows the other. No one knows the condition of the other brother or sister. But Jummah is supposed to create these bonds among ourselves, to be truly a community. So that's what Jummah is supposed to be. However, still, Jummah is doing some work to bring us together as a community, as an ummah. In the days when Islam was in good shape and the Muslims were in good shape, Jummah was such a vital institution that bring the ummah together. Give information to the ummah what they are supposed to do. Have planning what they are supposed to do. Get them stronger. The masjid was the center of that kind of activity. Center of orientation. So that's what Jummah was supposed to do. But however, even with our weaknesses, still Jummah is bothering these people and see it as an obstacle. So what is the third hurdle and the third obstacle? And he said, مؤتمر الحج السنوي. This conference, and they see it as a conference, where all the Muslims from all corners of the earth come together and get to know one another. Please take a moment to contemplate on that spiritual connection. And I'm sure those of you who have been in Hajj, they know how that communication between the hearts is going on between a brother and a brother whom they don't even speak the same language. They just see each other. They just see each other and they know waves of communication is going on. Yet the person is maybe from Philippines, maybe from India, maybe from Indonesia, maybe from somewhere where you don't even speak their language. But you can see what's going on. You can feel that your hearts are communicating. You know he is your brother, she is your sister in Islam, and you love them just because they are Muslims. You see? You see what kind of an image, what kind of transformation is happening to that person who is going from here, from the United States of America, and yet he's going to meet his brothers and sisters from everywhere. It's that kind of bond that this Mu'tamar Sanawi, this conference, annual conference that brings Muslims from everywhere. Yet Hajj is not only that. Hajj is many things, many other things. Hajj is about changing this human being by getting him or her detached from the daily routine, detached from all that which we are doing and clinging to them, loving them, caring about them of matters of dunya. Detach and leave. You see, it's like hijrah. It's like you are doing a migration. You are migrating from that daily routine, things that we get attached to them on a regular basis, and detach ourselves and go to a new environment that will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what Hajj is about. From the day you depart from your home until the day you come, all that journey is about transformation. Is about ibadah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will make this love of Allah, submission to Allah, intense. And when you go and analyze all those actions of Hajj, which you don't find in any other ibadah, those actions of Hajj are only there for Hajj. Al-Ihram. When you go at one point in geography, and at one point in your timing, you go and take off all your clothes and you wear only 2 garments. That itself is part of Hajj, and that itself is an indication of that transformation. You left the dunya behind you and you put that ihram, which signifies change, signifies getting ready to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are many things that can be said about ihram. What else? What else? And then you arrive and you will be able to see the Kaaba. My God, the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you will be in love with that place because it is a symbol of Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you make tawaf. And we are not allowed to make tawaf anywhere else, around anything else, except in that place. Obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. True obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what the believer does. Obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Touching Al-Hajar Al-Aswad if you can. Which many ulama, they say it's like renewing your mithaq with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then drinking from Zamzam if you can. Drinking from Zamzam, and you will not find Zamzam anywhere else. You may find the water of Zamzam coming to you all the way, but you will not find Zamzam except in that place. And what Zamzam reminds you of? It reminds you of an entire history. An entire history of a family that is thousands of years old. A history of Ibrahim alayhi salam, a history of Ismail alayhi salam, a history of Hajar, a history of this mother of ours, that we love her and we cherish her and we respect her. And what did she do that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commemorates her actions until today? And millions of people go there to do exactly what she was doing. A sa'i between Safa and Marwa. And all these are tools for transformation. All these are acts of ibadah, yet actually it is transformation of this psyche, of this believer who is going through all this to cleanse himself or herself, to come back as a true believer who believes in the Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wanted to be a true Muslim, a Muslim who submits himself or herself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you continue and you go to Arafah. And وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا Arafah. Right? Arafah. When you are in that place, which signifies the gathering of all human beings in the mahshar, in the day of judgment, when all people are in the same place, in the same time, waiting for the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many of us go to Hajj and go through this, trying to understand what Hajj is doing to me, what Hajj is supposed to do to me? Those who go to Hajj with this kind of spirit, wanting to change, Hajj will change them. And we know many people who came back changed, have a clear direction, wanting to be different from the way they were before. But we know many of us who came back the same. Hajj did not do much to them. So Hajj is an opportunity for change. So Arafah is that day when it's only you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and everybody is the same, equality. No one is better than the other one. No one is dressed different than the other one. We are all in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as His abid, His servants. وَلِسَانُ الذَّاكِرِ يَقُولُ, and the believer is always in dhikr. And what is the best dhikr to be said on that day? Is لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير. Celebrating the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, recognizing His powers, submitting to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you continue. And then you go to Muzdalifah. And then you go to Minan. And then you are going to throw the Jamarat. Remembering what your father Abraham has done. Ibrahim alayhi salam, what he has done. Recognizing the power of shaitan and what shaitan is trying to do. And you threw those stones on the shaitan, telling the shaitan, Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam stoned you, I'm stoning you as well. You will not be able to overcome me. I am a believer. I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will not give you a chance. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam did not give him a chance. Right? And then you do halq, you shave your hair or you cut from your hair. And what does that mean? It means you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether you know the wisdom or you don't, you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It tells you all that beauty of dunya doesn't matter as long as I am going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then you sacrifice. You do the sacrifice. And that sacrifice is before sacrificing the animal, you are submitting to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You would like to recognize that there is nothing in my nafs that's going to be an obstacle between me and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted me to do. What a beautiful training. What a beautiful training. Intense training that the believer goes through. Piece by piece, one thing after the other, knowing all these millions of people are doing the same thing. There is no equal to it in any other nation. No other nation has something not even close. The beauty of Hajj and how important it is. And then you go back and then you do tawaf al-ifada, and then you do sa'i between Safa and Marwa, and then you come back to Mina and you stay for a few days doing a lot of dhikr. You see, the whole thing maybe takes you 5 or 6 days, but it's very intense. It's very intense for that kind of transformation. My dear brothers and sisters, these are only reflections about Hajj. Hopefully you will find an opportunity sometimes in the future where we can talk maybe a little deeper about some other matters that if we have an intention to go to Hajj, we should be prepared by knowing them. And if we already gone to Hajj, we would like to reflect on them. Hopefully we can be inspired. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us another opportunity and maybe we can go to Hajj again. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. I hope, my brothers and sisters, as we heard these reflections about Hajj, that we take time and go and study a little more about Hajj. The opportunity is coming where these coming days are days of reflections, are days of ibadah, especially the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. So I hope we'll take time and really study, really reflect, really attend the classes where hopefully some of this discussion is taking place. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant for you to go to Hajj this year, please take seriously these kind of reflections. Take seriously these points that are about Hajj, and they are not in no mean they are exhaustive. There is a lot to be said. But please take seriously all these matters. Hopefully then we can really learn and allow Hajj to transform us. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from everyone. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from those who are going, those who have already gone, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give the opportunity for those who did not go. May Allah give them the opportunity to go and give them Hajj Mabrur. آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اهدنا واهد بنا واجعلنا هداة مهتدين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وأعز المسلمين. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. آمين ثم آمين. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم واستغفروه يغفر لكم. فيا فوز المستغفرين. وأقم الصلاة.
الله